Hello?
Kevin.
Nada, எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா சொல்லுங்க கெவின்.
So it's July 4th, right, in America?
ஓகே.
The Independence Day தானே இங்க.
ஆமா.
Just some quick questions. You have a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So what like motivated you guys to say, oh yeah, we should apply to the green card?
America is always was in my mind that one day I should visit US. With him I went to the interview, and then I was failed because they said I'm stateless and all that.
They didn't give you a visa. Why? Because you were stateless. What does that mean? So Sri Lankan government was supposed to give tea plantation workers visa to the states. What do you mean?
Not states, to citizenship of Sri Lanka, because we are stateless. We just came from India now. So they said you are not citizen of Sri Lanka. You are stateless people.
So you were stateless even during that time?
Yeah. All the Tamils who are born in upcountry, stateless people, yes.
Yeah, how old were you at the time?
I was 18.
Yeah, that's I didn't know you were like 18 at the time.
Yeah, I was so happy. I told my father and everybody that I'm going to States. What a disappointment. I got to the States. Not only state, I can only go to India. It will never come back.
Yeah, we don't want to go to India.
What I'll do in India.
No, it's crazy that I'm thinking about, because like when I got the green card, I was 18, the same year that you didn't get it. No, but where are you from? I'm not sure if anybody can answer that question with a singular answer without committing some level of existential heresy. But regardless of how I define myself, I am an American, I think. It is 4th of July, and in this video, I want to talk about what it means to be American. Specifically, what it means to me to be an American. And I want to share with you 3 frames that I think will help you, regardless of how you understand your cultural identity. If you're new here, my name is Kevin, and I'm making a massive comeback to YouTube. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Over the last few years, I've had the privilege and the honor of cultivating a community with you, a community of over 500,000 besties. It's crazy. You might probably know me as a Chai Guy or Timu Jesus. That whole thing started here on YouTube. So thank you for still watching. If you have seen some of my stuff from back in the day, you're OG. I missed you. I miss you, YouTube. But first, let's do origin stories. On October 28, 2008, your boy stepped into American soil for the first time in the Dallas International Airport in Virginia. I came through the DV1 visa program. The DV1 program was instituted by the US government to get more immigrants from particularly from historically low rates of immigration to the United States. And to enter, the applicants had to apply, and they go through a very rigorous interview process. To enter, applicants must be natives of eligible countries, and they should have a high school diploma or an equivalent, and also show that they've had 2 years of qualifying work experience in a skilled area within the past 5 years. So my mom and dad applied, and they put myself and my sister as dependents. Around 2007, we get a notification saying that my sister's application gets picked, but the problem was that she still hasn't finished high school. And not long after that, we found out that my application was selected. I had just finished high school. I still remember that day. They asked me a ton of questions at the US Embassy in Oman. And I was a kid, I was just trying to figure out what was going on. Even at that point, I just knew that this thing was big. And I immediately felt the weight of this in my body, in my being. I'd barely finished high school, did not have a single year of work experience that I can show to people and say, hey, look, please take me in. I didn't have any of that stuff. So that's why I was shocked when this man came back with my Sri Lankan passport saying, hey, congratulations, Mr. Wilson, your green card has been approved. Honestly, at that point, I did not know what that meant. I just knew that this would make my parents happy. That's it. Also, actually, no, that's a lie. I actually was also excited because I would get on a plane. I would get on a plane because I was obsessed with planes, and actually one of my goals as a kid growing up was to eventually become a pilot. So at the time I figured, hey, you know what? I get to go to America, hopefully become a pilot. That's nice. That's awesome. Fast forward 14 years. After thousands and thousands of dollars in application fees, citizenship tests, fighting a deep-seated fear of the Department of Homeland Services, owing hundreds and hundreds of dollars to the IRS because I didn't think I needed to pay taxes. I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff that I did not know. Okay, but I paid it all. But it was rough. It was 14 years of just feeling like I'm carrying this big burden. Yes, I had a green card. Yes, I was in the United States legally, but I was stopped at the airports. Random checks. Hey, but where are you really from? Who gave you that name? Kevin Spencer Wilson, is that your real name? Because when you're trying to survive, reflection becomes a luxury. Introspection becomes a luxury. You're just trying to do the next thing and move forward. All I knew at the time was like I needed to get the citizenship. Not necessarily because I wanted it, but because this was what's best for my family. That's how I grew up. As a Sri Lankan, I grew up with the collective in mind. On April 2nd, 2022, 14 years later, I became a naturalized US citizen. It's 2026 now. I'm currently feeling what American author James Baldwin said when he was in Europe and he was trying to write some novels, but he said that he felt like he needed to write first about being black in America because, and I quote, it was the gate I had to unlock before I could hope to write about anything else. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I want to talk to you about so many different things, about creativity, about culture and all that stuff, but I really feel like this is a better time than any for me to maybe put some imperfect words to the chaos that I'm feeling here and the confusion that I'm feeling here. What does it mean to be American? I want to share with you 3 frames. This is how I am processing it, and hopefully this makes sense to you. If not, I just give you permission to listen to Chocolate Jesus share things. Number 1, I think to be American means to hold paradox. Now, a paradox is a situation, a context, a reality that seems impossible or self-contradictory at first glance, but upon a second look, you'll realize, hey, there are some things here that I did not previously understand. That there are multiple truths that are kind of fighting against each other, but they're still within the same system. Some of the best English sentences ever penned, only comparable to Shakespeare, some scholars would argue, is found in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Beautiful words. Oh man, cross-stitch that. Put it in your bathroom. It's so nice. And yet, at the time that these words were written, these ideas were neither true nor self-evident. All men are created equal. It meant just that. Yeah, all men were created equal. And well, that too, not all men, because if you are an African American, if you are a slave, if you are indigenous male, no, we're not talking about you. So sorry, my bad. If the Declaration of Independence was signed today, I would not be part of We the People. See, the thing is this, right? The burden and the beauty of America is that she is rooted not in land, not in ethnic boundaries, but in a set of aspirational ideas. And ideas, oh man, ideas are so finicky. They change, they grow, they evolve over time. You can't control them. French philosopher Jacques Derrida uses the concept d'efference to talk about how the inscription of an idea is its liberation. He argues that the moment you put pen to paper, the moment you put an idea onto a medium of communication, that idea is now going to be grafted, molded, interpreted, reinterpreted by every single person who encounters it. So the author or the authors, in this case, of these ideas do not have the luxury of chasing down this idea or policing the different interpretations of this idea, try as they may, because these ideas have escaped them. They have traveled across time and space. They've become a million different things in the minds of a million different people. All this to say that because America is rooted in a set of ideas that is subject to interpretation and reinterpretation and transformation of those ideas over the course of time, to be American then is to be aware that nobody has a monopoly on what it means to be American. In the same way, that's why I, as a pastor, I don't get to police somebody else's Christianity. Who am I to tell you, oh yeah, that's not being Christian? Why? Because I don't have all the facts. I don't have control over all the different interpretations. I don't have control or possession of all the different ways that idea is understood. Okay. This does not mean that nobody is now American and everybody is Sri Lankan. No, but I think it means that I need to check my biases. It means that I need to check my assumptions and my presuppositions about who you are, which are shaped by my upbringing, my culture, the things that I've encountered, the traumas that I've encountered in my life. All those things affect my understanding and my perception of the other. In a world of paradox, where there's so many different ideas competing for attention, I would do well to lead with curiosity rather than condemnation, curiosity rather than judgment. To hold paradox as an American is to hold both gratitude and protest in my body. And I think my Sri Lankanness gives me some insight into this. As a Sri Lankan, I hold in my body and my psyche the sins of genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Tamils in the north. I hold in my body the occupation of thousands and thousands of tea plantation workers were brought in from Tamil Nadu to work in the tea plantations of Sri Lanka. Millions of them died on the way to the plantations, the group in which my great-great-grandfather was a part of. As a nation, we have not reckoned with these sins, and it continues to haunt not only our national consciousness, but our individual consciousness as well. I'm mad at Sri Lanka for this, and I suspect that I will always and perpetually be mad at her for this till the day I die. At the same time, I hold gratitude for the ways in which Sri Lanka has provided for my family, the opportunities that it has created for us, even though they were few and far in between. As an American, I hold in my soul the sins of chattel slavery, the genocides of indigenous populations, the marginalization of women and queer folk. I hold in my body the systemic oppression of Africans and the ongoing marginalization of African American voices. But I also hold gratitude for the opportunities that this country has given me. I hold gratitude for introducing me to worlds and galaxies of ideas and systems of thinking. I also hold gratitude for the opportunities and the privileges that this country has given me. Privileges that I could only dream of as a kid in Sri Lanka. I hate to do this, but I have to. I have to hold both. I find a ton of resonance in what James Baldwin writes in Notes of a Native Son, where he says, "I love America more than any other country in the world. And for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually." And he writes this in Europe, where as a black man he feels neither, and I quote, American nor European. I'm so grateful for America, and that's why I'm angry. That's why I protest. That's why I feel the things that I feel, and that's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. So number one, to be American for me means to hold paradox, which leads me to the second part. To be American means to embrace the hyphen. When people ask me where I'm from, I usually say, hey, I'm from Maryland, and then I moved to Michigan, and now I'm in Portland, Oregon. And they start twitching. But where are you really from, Kevin? Where are you from? And the twitch finally stops, and a wave of relief washes over them, and I tell them, oh, I was born in Sri Lanka, I lived in Oman, and I came to the States when I was 18. I'm not offended at that question anymore. I used to be very offended, but now I've learned that more often than not, that question comes from a desire to locate me, so that they can know how to care for me. At least that's what I assume. At least I try to assume that, to be honest with you. But when the question is reversed, when I ask them, hey, so yeah, where are you from? Then it's interesting, you get a variety of reactions. So you get variations of, oh yeah, well, I was born here. Or I'm American. Or then somebody might be a little bit more polite and they say, oh yeah, I'm a mutt, I'm a bunch, German, this, that, I'm a bunch of different things. And some might even get caught off guard by that question. They're like, wait, how dare you ask me where I'm from? One thing I've come to understand living here in the United States is that when something goes unnamed, it quietly becomes the default. It becomes the new normal, the new neutral, the new standard, the new measuring stick with which you get to now measure everything else and everyone else. And people don't realize that the most fundamental difference between people here in the United States is not a difference in birthright, but a difference in boats. Which one did you come in? Also, maybe a difference in whether you had a choice in getting into the boat or not. See, the only people that could get by without a hyphen in this country are our indigenous siblings. Everybody else has one. European American, British American, Polish American, Jewish American, Sri Lankan American, Mexican American. You just go down the list. African American. Everybody has a hyphen. The hyphens have always been there. And thousands have literally given up their lives to make sure that they get rid of the hyphens from their own family, or to keep the hyphens of groups who just need to be reminded that they are not fully welcome, that they're not part of the we. That's why French political theorist Frantz Fanon says that the empire's greatest threat is the erasure of our complexities, the erasure of the things that make us us, our particularities, idiosyncrasies. The act of essentializing, in other words, the act of reducing a complex subject to a core set of characteristics based on what I think they should be, based on my assumptions or expectations, based on my comfort or my safety, he would argue, is an act of violence. In the process of putting people into boxes, of getting rid of their hyphens that they have accumulated over the course of their very rich and complex and varied lives, I'm in a very, very strong sense violating the sacredness of who they are and who they could be by putting them in the prisons, in the cages of my own self-interests. To be American then means to reject the binaries that are imposed on me. It means to embrace what I call the messy middle. That hyphen, Sri Lankan American, Mexican American, African American, whatever the hyphens are, that's the messy middle. I'm not one thing. I'm a world. You're a world. You bring with you so many different things to this conversation. As a Sri Lankan American man, my home is in the hyphen. And to the extent that I embrace and normalize ambiguity, uncertainty, and paradox, liminality, as the location of my becoming, is the extent to which I find and feel at home in my body and in my being and in this country. And America is probably one of the best places to do that. You get to have the freedom to define what home means to you, which leads me to point number 3. To be American to me means to steward freedom. When it comes to freedom, there's a freedom to and freedom from. I have the freedom to, for example, vote and buy and organize. I have the freedom to call out and protest the abomination that is the Starbucks chai tea latte. But I also, at least theoretically, have the freedom from things that I could do without. Things like oppression, abuse, injustice. To be free is to, I think, have a baseline awareness of, number 1, what I am free to do. Number 2, the privileges and responsibilities of my freedom in this country. And number 3, the consequences of my free choices to myself and to others. And it's hard to be free and experience freedom in empire, in systems that are indexed towards capital rather than compassion, in places and spaces that see domination and subjugation as salvation. So how do I steward freedom in systems of oppression, in empire? Not sure, but I hear at this point, I find a lot of helpful language in resistance movements, particularly from those who have found ways to help and heal, especially during times of crisis, rather than to do things that mirror the violence of their oppressors, even if they were justified in doing so. Like French pastor André Trocq. By the way, I'm mentioning a lot of French people, right? I don't know why. Like French pastor André Trocq, who saved a lot of Jews during World War II. He said this, he says, work and look hard for ways, for opportunities to make little moves against destructiveness. Maybe I'm too much of an idealist, but I tend to agree with Father Richard Rohr when he says that the best critique of the bad is the practice of the better. To me, as an American, stewarding freedom means to work tirelessly to ensure that all who are here are safe and they are free to be human, that they are free to express their humanity with an awareness and understanding that their freedom was costly, but also their freedom has consequences. Their freedom has privileges, their freedom has responsibilities. But regardless of who it is, it should not even be a question that every single human being in this land needs to be treated with kindness and dignity and respect. Because if we actually agree and admit that the founding fathers saw God, at least the Christian God, as their creator, it just means that every single human being is created in the image of God. So empathy is baseline. Dignity is baseline. Oof, so much more that can be said here, and I don't even know if any of this stuff made sense to you, but I think it makes some sense to me. Number 1, for me, being an American means to hold paradox, to welcome paradox. Number 2 is to embrace the hyphen. Sri Lankan American, that hyphen, oof, is home. The hyphen is home. And number 3, to steward freedom, however way that looks. If you stayed till this long, where have you been all my life? You're amazing. Put the word frog in the comments. Yeah, just put and ask me about my frog. Okay, I don't have a frog, but just ask me about my frog. Let's just create some nice chaos in the comment section. Let's throw people off. As an 8-9-year-old kid watching Cartoon Network, Captain Planet, the shows, the movies, MTV, being bewildered by American kids jumping onto beds with their shoes on. What's up with that? That's crazy. I remember watching all that stuff thinking, man, America is such a cool place. And I remember thinking, man, it would be awesome to go to America one day. Take a picture next to the White House, meet the president. But if you had told that kid that one day he would be here doing the things that he's doing, talking to you, 500,000 plus besties online, it would have blown that kid's mind. Yeah. And I think it's appropriate to end this with a reminder of what this country meant to me as a kid who wanted one day to be here, not realizing that one day he would be one of them. It was not until 1901, approximately 14 years after Emma Lazarus' death, a Portuguese Sephardic Jewish immigrant to the United States, that her friend Georgina found this poem, and she made it her life's work to make sure that this poem was inscribed and known. A lot of different people after 14 years. Coincidentally, the time that elapsed between the time I got to the United States and I became a citizen. Emma Lazarus pens these words in a poem titled The New Colossus, which you can find at the Statue of Liberty. I'm going to read this to you. Let this be our meditation. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Damn it. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. And happy 4th of July.